Hey guys, Chris here. This is my new 5-gallon beta tank. It's a top fin retreat. You can get them at PetSmart for like $59.99. It's an all-in-one, so it comes with a tank, filter, and light. I added in a Fuval heater on my own, but it's hidden away in the back compartment. I just needed something small and movable since I am going to be moving here soon. I didn't want to, start another big tank that was going to be a pain to move. So without further ado, let's take a look at what I did to set it up. Alright, so for scaping, I've got this little piece of spider wood that I cut off of a larger piece. And I've also got this little stick. Now, this little stick, I couldn't really figure out what I was going to do with it. I tried it up against the wall, up underneath the actual big piece, so I decided just to break it up into some smaller pieces and try to make it look like roots coming off this bigger piece, kind of like roots from a tree. In practice, I'm not sure how well that worked out, but we'll see how we can fix it in the future, especially once this wood actually sinks. I did have to add a rock in later to keep it from floating. Alright, here the tank is filled. Normally I would have filmed filling the tank, and I actually tried to, but my camera decided to shut off in the middle of that, so I actually lost all that footage. It was just a corrupted file. So, didn't get to see that, but I bet you can imagine how it went. Pretty uneventful. I just filled it up with water and dechlorinated it. You can see that the substrate does stick to bubbles, so whenever you first set the tank up, you get it sticking to the glass, you get some of it floating, you'll find quite a bit of it in the filter as well. And that is probably the worst thing about this substrate, but it is something you only experience when it's a brand new tank. Once you let everything sink, get waterlogged, and remove the pieces that don't, it's really not that big of a deal. And 24 hours later, I can't even tell that that was ever a problem. So, not shouldn't scare you away from it, but do keep that in mind. Alright, so it's time to introduce you to the inhabitant that this tank is set up for, and it's just a male Veiltail Betta. I saw him at PetSmart while I was there for something else, and I decided that I just had to have him. I was there for the tank anyway, so it wasn't like a spur of the moment thing, but he was kind of the chosen one. I was planning originally to do a trio of male endlers in this tank, but he was just really feisty. He's maybe not the prettiest beta I've ever seen, but his fins are in good shape, and he was building some bubble nests and stuff in the cup. And compared to the other betas in the store, he was doing really well. He does seem pretty aggressive, so I doubt he would ever be a good community beta, but that's not really what this tank is about, so he should make a great little desktop pet. Okay, so I got the beta from the cup into a bag, and then I've also got two black racer narrate snails as well for a cleanup crew. And I'm just going to be planting this tank with a couple really small trimmings, basically, from another tank. First off, I got this cryptocorn. I believe it's probably like a cryptocorn lutea or something similar. I'm not sure. It's been kind of like hanging out in my snail tank for a long time, not really doing much, so I plopped it down in here to see if it's gonna do well. These are not planting tweezers, these are like feeding tongs for like a snake. So they don't work that well, but super pristine planted tanks aren't my thing. I always have plants in my freshwater tanks, but I can't get behind spending all that time getting the plants perfect. They correct themselves after a little while. So I just like to get them buried down in there well enough to stay, and any roots and stuff that's showing will usually kind of end up buried on their own anyway. If it bothers you that much, you can take some scissors and kind of clip them short, and it will kind of slow down the growth of the plant a little bit while it repairs those roots, but it usually won't kill it as long as you don't cut off the actual base of the plant. I'm also adding in some jungle val here. I believe it's jungle val. It's been kind of doing the same thing. It's just been sitting in my snail tank, kind of wasting away to nothing because the light on that tank is terrible. And then I'm also adding a little bit of Lobegia, and I'm not sure what species of Lobegia this is. It is a red species under bright lighting, but it is not super red, so not sure what it is, but it tends to do pretty well in just about anything. This is coming from the same snail tank that the other plants are kind of wasting away in, so hopefully it does well and fills in that background for us. Okay, so I'm just going to take these two black racer narrating snails I got, and they've been floating for maybe 20 minutes now, definitely long enough. I just dumped the water down the sink, and I'm just going to drop them in there just like that. You don't have to worry about, sticking them to a glass wall or something like that. They will figure that out on their own. For the beta, we're just going to kind of open the bag and kind of tilt it until he swims out on his own. Now, you don't want to dump him out, right? You don't want to do that. It's going to be a lot of stress, but sometimes they do need some encouragement, so you can kind of see me lifting the bag up out of the water here. And, it's gentle enough. He's not going to be super perturbed by it. And you can see that there wasn't really any sort of negative reaction. He kind of just kept on doing what he was doing in the first place. He went to explore around the tank, and in my opinion, it was a pretty successful intro. And here the guy is up close. You can see he's just a pretty plain Jane red and blue male Veiltail. There's nothing particularly special about him other than he was very healthy in the store. It does seem like maybe he's had some fin rot on his back tail in the past. There's like it's discolored, and then there's like some weird shaping going on when you get really close, but nothing too bad. It seems like it's healed back well. And here what I'm doing is I'm actually taking like a little pipette, and I'm just blowing the sand off the wall. It just helps it fall faster. It would have come off on its own over time, but I just wanted to look a little bit nicer for the camera. So I just took it around and, did my best to get the worst of it off. And here you can actually see that the light it comes with actually has like a touch button. So not my biggest, I don't love it about the tank just because it leaves a lot of room for error. But, it is what it is. It's a cheap tank. And, here I'm just feeding him some mysis shrimp. It's a good first meal for me because that shell in there is going to help him poop. It's going to make sure that any, if he's been overfed in the store or something, it's going to help him pass that along. Where if you just keep on feeding, pellets, especially cheaper pellets, that can kind of stop them up, especially for betas. Beta's really bad for getting constipated. So he does have to kind of chew it up, spit it out, chew it up, spit it out a few times, but he does eventually get a pretty sizable piece down. And, I just feed this maybe once every 4 or 5 days, something like that. And then also do some boiled peas once every 2 or 3 weeks as well. And that's, again, just to keep them from getting so stopped up. I can't tell you how many betas I've seen that have been so constipated that they literally died. And, that's really it for me today. The tank is kind of just a one-off, throw it together and see what happens deal. But it was a lot of fun to set up. I really like the tank, especially for $60. In my opinion, it's a pretty good deal. It's a fun new pet to have for sure. It's been a while since I've had a beta. And it's been a while since I made a video too, so it was a lot of fun. But thanks for watching, and I am sure I'll be seeing you guys again soon.